Hi, you uneducated. Salum is here. Welcome back to my channel. Well, having a few weeks of breaking, now your daddy is back. Well, in this episode, sadly we don't have any guests by me. It's not just because I didn't send the invitation, Actually, I'm organizing another podcast show episodes with Noah already. Trust me, the topic will be very, very interesting. And Noah will be the best person in this topic. As you know, that Noah is words and linguistic student, so I think he might do this episode very well. And okay, so in this episode, it's only me and it reminds me at the first two episodes. Oh, or a cute time before. Okay, so back to the topic. What do we do today? Let's talk about the IPA. So as a conlanger, you might know or just hear that people are all talking about IPA, but what is IPA? Well, IPA stands for International Phonetic Alphabet. According to Wikipedia, the IPA is an alphabetic system of phonetic notation based primarily on the Latin script. So it's basically the IPA is the map or just a notation about all the phonemes or all the sounds that have some meanings that people can describe all of the words and it's just a notation for people to know what for me is that. So it's like the transcriptions of the people's languages, so according to the alphabet system. So what will you see the applications of IPA in which kinds of branches or which kinds of the field people will use IPA for? Example, basically is linguistic. That linguist must to write down all the phonemes about a language they are discovering or understanding or studying. So it's very important to record the sentence based on the pronunciation. So IPA is used in this kind of field, and also the speech language pathologies, because that in some contents, like if people have some pronouncing question, the channel or indicator must to know what kind of the sound its real is. So and how to pronounce these sounds, and that he will teach the like students or the patients the right way to pronounce the sound. And the singers, why singers is very interesting, because in singer and actors they might sometimes sing like in other languages, like the anime songs. There are not just Japanese, there are also English or German. Yeah, I don't know why, but Japanese people likes German a lot, and in this situation, they might know how to pronounce the language in right way. So the IPA is included to use in these contents, and of course, actors much complicated, because actor might have to learn to, like, even English, there are many of the dialects, that they might learn how to pronounce the dialect, or the trainer of the actors, or might to know how this sound in English dialect, how to pronounce it, and what is its IPA written. So, and then he can teach the actor how to pronounce that. And other most used part is, of course, linguistic or teachers, but in this field is very frequently used with IPA's construct language creators, because as you know that all the constructed or conlangs are artificial. So people might to tell others what kind of the sound is there in this conlang, so they might to describe it in this kind of international phonetic alphabet, and people will know what the language sounds like all over the world. Yeah, so that is in many. So it sounds very important to learn IPA. And so how can we learn the IPA? So if you Google IPA or its full name, International Phonetic Alphabet, and you may see the Wikipedia, or you can also search the IPA chat, and you can see a chat. That chat will separate it with consonants and vowels. So the consonant part, you will see the row with place. That is which place in your mouth. For example, you can see that there is labial. Labial means your lips. So we have bilabial consonants like m, b, and it uses both your lips, and there are also labial dental, that is you use your labial and also your teeth. So for example, v and v are labial dental sounds. So you can figure out that in this place you use both your lips and your teeth, and also there are vowel sounds like. So it's the place is vowel, that means you use your vowel to pronounce this sound. So for example, k and g, h and r are all vowel sounds. And the column of the chat, consonant chat is manner, is how you pronounce this sound. So it's were separated in very few categories. So for example, nasal that means you pronounce these sounds with your nose. So like m, n, and la are all nasal sounds. And plosive is the sound like but, g, is the stop sounds that you pronounce your teeth or your tongues were stuck in this way and suddenly release and having a da sound. Also, there are fricative. Fricatives are the sounds like f, v, s, h. It's just like the air sounds, or the f. You can hear this kind of sound. So there are also sibilant fricative. So it's like you can hear the sound, but non-sibilant fricative. So like f, you don't hear the sound, but a f sound. Okay, and there are also approximate, and that means it's like you open your airway very loose or very relaxed. So like r, w, y, yeah, this kind of sound, or tab like da da da, ba da 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 da, or trill v, r, and lateral sounds like here. Anyway, so you can know how to pronounce by the manner and place according to this kind of chat of consonants, and you can pronounce all the sounds that people can do in languages. Also, there are an extra table with ejective sound like or something like that, something like that, and click sound like this kind of click sound. And implosive, I can't do the implosive, but I think this sound will be similar. Kinda, I don't know. So our question is that can you pronounce all the IPA sounds? Probably not, because as you know that you can of course pronounce all the sounds that is familiar to your mother tongue, because your brains were set up with your mother tongue. But if something strange sound like a th or sound impressive, that might be very difficult. And Afrikaans sounds like something like that. Okay. And vowels are tricky, as I always said, because in my mind, that in my opinion, that vowel is like a range. You don't need to have it doesn't have a precise range that you pronounce this sound. So let's see. In vowel chat, you can see we have several characteristics like frontal vowels, central vowels, and back vowels, and like frontal vowels like e, a, that your tongue or the I don't have a word. So if you pronounce this vowel, the sounds occur on this frontal position, and central is like in the center of your mouth, like something like that. And backward is like your tongue's back through your vowel or something like that, but backwards of your mouth. So like something like that. And close, and in column we have close to open. So close sounds, and you close your mouth to pronounce this vowel. So like e, u. So the mouth is closed. And mid sounds that your mouth is opened midly. So like something like that. And open sound, you open all of your mouth. So like something like that. And so if you follow the hints of the chat in IPA chat, you can pronounce all of the IPA alphabets. And first, yes, theoretically is all, but as I said, that you must practice. So for example, I didn't know how to pronounce r sounds, but now with thousands of practice, I can pronounce that easily. So for example, first, how do you learn the IPA? You learn how to pronounce first, and practice. Practice make you always better in pronouncing IPA sound. And another question is, of course, I have learned and I can pronounce the IPA sounds, but how can I type them? So first one is the simplest. You can find an IPA chat and copy and paste. Yeah, just copy and paste. I know that many people are doing that for so long, but I will recommend you a website that you can type IPA much easily. So it's IPA.typeit.org and // and you can see there is a whole IPA chat on that, and you can click and type the IPA sounds. And another one is iPhone and I think Android and Gboard. Yeah, Gboard. This kind of smartphone has their own IPA keyboard already, so you can use your iPhone or something smartphones. Maybe you use HTC. No, there is not HTC more. Or you can use Nokia. No, Nokia is dying. And or Sony or Samsung, you can type on your phone. Okay, so I can type and I can pronounce, but I want to do if I want to do something like a simulator, so can I make a drift if I type and the computer can speak with IPA? Yes, there is actually an IPA reader website. So you can search IPA. How do you say the IPA reader? Okay, you just Google IPA reader, and you can see there is a website, shining purple website, and you can type IPA on it, and it will pronounce it. Though it's not 100% correct, and it's just a phonetic sound, so it will sound bad, but it will show you how your conlang will going to sound like. It's better than just thinking, just imagine, oh, this kind of sound is cool. Maybe I can pronounce it, but I'm bad in IPA, so how can I do? So you just find a reader and it will read to you, and you will know what your language actually like, and you can change it any part of the languages that you don't like it. And another problem is that's interesting is do you have any favorite IPA sounds? Because sounds I know that some people like ejective sounds because it sounds very good, like in all her languages it sounds like so it sounds very cool. But my favorite is the sounds that only appear in Swedish. It's oh okay, the chat just said it's Ep.8 sound. You can Google it, Ep.8 sound. This kind of sounds only appear in Swedish. It sounds like okay, the definitions of IPA is the simultaneous she and her. So it sounds like here. Oh, when I first know this sound, it's like an explosion in my head. Oh, this kind of sound exists. It's so cool. So in guy, because I know these kinds of sounds, so I use it into my language. So in guy, the HJ represent the SJ sound. So like there are some words like shakum and something like sha or something like that. It's very cool. So you can find a IPA chat and see what kinds of sounds you like very, very much and put it into your languages. That is actually how sounds conlangers selecting their phonemes. So it's very important, and that's why we are recommending you to learn the IPA sound and IPA notation. Because first, you can choose your sound easily and systematically. And another way is if you want to show people how your language sounds like, it's like a guideline to people who can really imagine, and in their brains they will also know how to pronounce and how your language sounds like. So for the beginner of conlanging, I very, very recommend you to the IPA. But another question will exist. What is actually IPA representing? Well, as we know that it's a phonetic alphabet, so the IPA show us the phoneme. What is phoneme? Phoneme is that in one language, not all the sounds has their meaning. So, for example, in English, these sounds don't carry any meaning. So, for example, you won't say that dog and dog are different in English, have different meanings. So, phonemes is the sounds with the meaning that really used in a language. So, IPA can show all these sounds in your language. So, the phoneme. Always remember, it's phoneme, not only just all the sounds, because the people language won't having all the sounds in a language. That will be very, very crazy. You know that if you our brain version decide like that. So the phonemes are much important in the language system. And how do people to represent this phoneme? We use IPA. But as you know that there are two notation for IPA. So first is with the square brackets and another is with slashes. How are these kind of difference between them? So the square brackets are used with phonetic notation. That means that is the sentence or that is the words actually sound like. But the slashes are used for abstract phoneme notation. So one is phonetic and one is phonemic. That's the difference. So for example, the P with S in English, it will be pronounced like a spine. Is we don't have the H sound or the affricated behind them. So, but in slash, you might just write a P, and we don't have any difference because like the P initial word. So, like pin and spine can be not it just can be the send in the slashes notation. So you might write down like spine and P with the same notation, but in square brackets, this two P sound are different. So in the square brackets notation, it will be written differently because we must to write down the actually sound. Like we will write the span, not like spin, or the pin, not to be the pin. So that is. But but why should we know that? It's because when you are conlanging, you might then having many types of optional. So like you will develop like a dialect or other people pronouncing your languages, how well it sounds like you must use the square bracket or. But if you want just to let people know how this sounds like, you will use slash notation. I don't know if I'm clear explaining that clearly. So it's just because I just wanna say that square bracket is used in some specific ways, like dialects or like something you can't distinguish it with your phonemic notation. That is. So don't mess them up. Okay? And the final question is that I know that is a kind of sadly, but is there the IPA discrimination in conlang community? I must say yes, if you have scoring the conlang Reddit or of course also in IG conlang community, I must say that people will really has the conlangers didn't learn IPA. I actually can't understand why, because if you don't use IPA, people won't know. For example, your romanization might be very poor, and I can't actually understand your sound in your language. So I need your use IPA. That is, I know that is it's very understandable, but I think sometimes people are harsh to this kind of beginners. I always want beginners to learn IPA, but I won't judge them. Maybe they just don't want to learn IPA, but if you can give us the guidelines of which kind of sound this like, I will actually, my opinion is that IPA is one of the way to help people to understand your languages. So if you can, sure, you can describe your phonologies without IPA. I can tag it. Yeah, it's, if you just don't want to use IPA, and you can describe your phonetic rules and phonetic forms and phonetic, any topics in phonetic very, very well without IPA, I would say, sure, you also did a well job. I can actually imagine what your languages be like, but if you can't, just learn IPA and people will more clearly what are you saying. Because it's just like you can counting with just a plus, but if you want to make it easier, you can use multiple. It's just like the math. So if you don't, you can actually clearly to explaining your phonology without IPA. I will take it, but if you can't, you lose a way to communicate with other people. Where IPA for me is just a tool of communication in this kind of community. So it's just like English, so it's international lingua franca in phonology probably. So it's just like you lose a chance to chat with others, to let others understand your meanings. That is so what a pity, So I must to say they are IPA-ist. So weird words I just realized. So I know that there are actually people are harsh to others with IPA learning. So they are just like hunting witches, like, oh, you don't use IPA, you must be very, very dumb. You can't see, you are a beginner. Just like that. But is that necessary? I don't think so. As I said, it's just like English. So you won't judge people who don't know English, but he can speak very well, or he can just communicate very well with you without English, right? So it's I know that is actually a problem in this kind of community. It's in Conlang community. So we are too harsh to people, especially the beginners who didn't use IPA in their shortcuts, in their books, in their novels, in their conlang, in their posts, and it will actually scare people into this kind of these communities. It's very, very pity. It's very shamed actually. So just to remind you that if you are conlangers, and don't be very harsh for people who didn't learn IPA. But I think the best solution is you can introduce IPA to them, or you can just teach them. Is also okay, or you can help them to understand IPA. I know that IPA is very linguistic specifically, so it's not easy for all people to learn this kind of notation. So you must have some incense or insight. But my opinion is that we must try. We must to help other conlangers, because everyone was once a beginner. I must say so. That's just like we. Okay, so actually, before into this community, we don't really know IPA, right? So think about it. It's for the beginner. I recommend you to learn this kind of system. For the advancer, or for the conlanger that actually do suffering in this kind of community for so long, I must say, don't be harsh to the IPA innocent. So that's it. Okay, I think it's all for this episode. So as I said before, you can not only hear this kind of stupid podcast on Apple Podcast, YouTube, and also Spotify. And I think I have given up with our Google Podcast, whatever. And we also have a Patreon now. If you want to support me, I really want to buy A microphone, please. I need like 1,000 Taiwan dollars. Anyway, so if you want to support me for €1, €3, €10 a month, it's just like a cup of tea or something like that. So if you want to support me, please Patreon. Yes, go Patreon. Search salum.the.conlang, I guess. Anyway, or okay, I didn't call you to follow my Instagram, right? Okay, so Instagram, no Facebook. Instagram is the place I active every day. Come on, I'm sorry to Instagrams. Anyway, so that is all for this episode. If you have any comments, please comment below and hit the like button. And that's it. Ep.8.